The morning sun cast a golden glow over Kensington Palace as Catherine, the Princess of Wales, stood before her bedroom mirror, carefully selecting her outfit for what would become one of the most talked-about royal engagements of the year. She had no idea that by evening, social media would be buzzing with comments about how she and William already looked like a king and queen. The day began like any other Tuesday morning in the Wales household. Prince William was downstairs reviewing his schedule with his private secretary, while their 3 children, George, Charlotte, and Louis, were getting ready for school. The familiar sounds of a busy royal household filled the air: footsteps on marble floors, quiet conversations between staff members, and the gentle hum of morning routines that had been perfected over years of royal life. Catherine chose a deep navy coat dress that perfectly complemented her elegant style. The dress, designed by one of her favorite British designers, featured subtle details that spoke to both tradition and modernity. She paired it with nude heels and her grandmother-in-law's sapphire earrings, a touching tribute to the late Queen Elizabeth II. As she fastened the earrings, she couldn't help but think about the legacy she and William were inheriting and the responsibility that came with it. William appeared in the doorway, adjusting his tie with the practiced ease of someone who had been dressing formally for public appearances his entire life. He wore a tailored charcoal gray suit that emphasized his tall frame and commanding presence. His hair, now showing distinguished touches of silver at the temples, caught the morning light as he smiled at his wife. "Ready for today's adventure?" he asked, using the light-hearted tone they had developed over their years of marriage to ease the pressure of constant public scrutiny. Catherine nodded, taking one last look in the mirror. She had learned long ago that every public appearance was an opportunity to represent not just herself, but the entire royal family and the United Kingdom. Today's engagement would take them to a new community center in East London, where they would meet with local families, young entrepreneurs, and community leaders who were working to revitalize their neighborhood. The drive through London's streets gave them a few precious moments of privacy before stepping back into their public roles. They discussed their children's upcoming school events, William's environmental projects, and Catherine's early childhood development initiatives. These conversations revealed the depth of their partnership, not just as husband and wife, but as future king and queen who genuinely cared about the people they would one day serve more fully. As their convoy approached East London, Catherine noticed William's posture change slightly. His shoulders squared, his expression became more focused, and she could see him transitioning into what she privately called his prince mode. She had witnessed this transformation countless times over their relationship, but it never ceased to amaze her how naturally he embodied the dignity and authority that his position required. The community center was a modest building that had been transformed through local fundraising efforts and volunteer work. Outside, a small crowd had gathered, waving British flags and holding homemade signs welcoming the royal couple. Children pressed against the barriers, their faces bright with excitement, while their parents held up smartphones to capture the moment. When William stepped out of the car first, as protocol dictated, the crowd's energy immediately shifted. There was something different about his presence today, a natural authority that seemed to radiate from him. He moved with confident, measured steps, acknowledging the crowd with waves and warm smiles, while maintaining the perfect balance of approachability and dignity that had made him so popular with the British public. Catherine emerged moments later, and the crowd's reaction intensified. Her graceful movements, warm smile, and genuine interest in the people gathered to meet her created an immediate connection. She had perfected the art of making each person feel seen and valued, even in large crowds. A young girl managed to hand her a small bouquet of wildflowers picked from a nearby park, and Catherine's delighted reaction brought tears to several onlookers' eyes. Together, they moved through the crowd with a natural synchronization that spoke to their years of partnership. William would pause to speak with veterans about their service while Catherine knelt down to chat with excited children about their drawings and school projects. They complemented each other perfectly. His conversations focused on policy and long-term solutions, while hers centered on personal connections and emotional support. The first person to comment on their regal bearing was Margaret Thompson, a 78-year-old grandmother who had lived in the area her entire life. She watched them interact with community members and whispered to her daughter, "Look at them together. They don't just look like royals. They look like they were born to rule. That's what a king and queen should look like. Her daughter quickly snapped a photo of William and Catherine, walking side by side toward the community center entrance. In the image, their natural poise and complimentary presence was undeniable. William's protective yet respectful positioning near Catherine, combined with her confident stride and warm engagement with onlookers, created a picture of partnership and leadership that resonated deeply with observers. Inside the community center, their royal presence transformed the modest space. They moved through each room with genuine interest, asking thoughtful questions about local programs and taking time to understand the challenges facing the community. William's discussions with local business owners revealed his deep understanding of economic issues, while Catherine's conversations with mothers and children showcased her expertise in early childhood development and family support systems. The moment that would later become the most shared image of the day occurred when they stood together, listening to a presentation by local teenagers about their environmental project. The photographer captured them in profile, both leaning slightly forward with expressions of genuine interest and engagement. William's hand rested protectively on Catherine's back in a gesture so natural it seemed unconscious, while she held a folder of materials the young people had prepared. In that single image, everything about their future roles seemed to crystallize. They looked not like visitors making a charitable appearance, but like leaders genuinely invested in their people's success and well-being. The combination of William's natural authority and Catherine's compassionate engagement created a powerful impression of what the monarchy could become under their leadership. Social media began buzzing almost immediately as people shared photos and videos from the event, all commenting on the same thing. This couple already embodied everything people wanted in their future monarchs. The royal couple's visit continued with a tour of the community center's various programs, each stop revealing more about their natural leadership qualities and deep connection as partners. In the computer lab, William demonstrated his understanding of digital literacy challenges facing underserved communities, while Catherine focused on how technology could support families in creating stronger bonds with their children. James Rodriguez, a local photographer covering the event for the community newsletter, found himself captivated not just by getting good shots, but by observing how William and Catherine interacted with each other and the people around them. He had covered royal visits before, but something felt different about this one. Through his camera lens, he watched William's subtle but attentive care for Catherine, ensuring she had space to move comfortably through crowds, quietly checking if she needed anything, and the way his eyes would find hers across rooms full of people. Catherine, meanwhile, displayed a confidence and grace that seemed to elevate everyone around her. When she knelt down to speak with 5-year-old Emma about her finger painting, the little girl's shyness melted away completely. Emma's mother, Sarah Chen, later told reporters that Catherine had remembered details about Emma's older brother from a brief conversation they'd had 20 minutes earlier, showing the kind of personal attention that made people feel truly valued. "She listens like every word matters," Sarah explained. "And Prince William does the same thing. When they're talking to you, you feel like you're the only person in the room. That's not something you can fake." The couple's natural chemistry became even more apparent during their visit to the center's small kitchen, where local volunteers were preparing a community lunch. Catherine immediately asked if she could help, rolling up her sleeves despite wearing her elegant coat dress. William followed suit, and soon they were both chopping vegetables alongside community members, their conversation flowing naturally between discussions of local food security issues and light-hearted banter with the volunteers. Mrs. Dorothy Williams, who had been volunteering at community kitchens for over 30 years, watched the royal couple work and shook her head in amazement. "In all my years, I've never seen royals just jump in like that," she said to the volunteer next to her. "Look at how they move together. He hands her things before she asks. She anticipates what he needs. They're like a well-oiled machine, but more than that, they're genuinely enjoying themselves." The photographer captured a particularly striking moment when William and Catherine were washing dishes side by side. Catherine had soap suds on her hands and William was drying plates with a tea towel that had the community center's logo on it. They were laughing about something one of the volunteers had said, and their joy seemed completely unguarded and authentic. In that moment, they looked less like formal royals fulfilling an obligation and more like a couple who genuinely enjoyed working together toward common goals. Their next stop was the center's small library, where a reading program for children was in progress. Catherine, who had made literacy one of her key charitable focuses, immediately sat on the floor with a group of 7-year-olds while William joined older children who were working on a history project about their neighborhood. The natural way they divided their attention based on their individual strengths and interests showed a partnership built on mutual respect and complementary skills. 8-year-old Marcus Johnson had been nervous about meeting real royals, but when William sat down beside him to look at his project about local World War II history, the prince's genuine interest and knowledge made Marcus forget his nerves completely. William shared stories about his great-grandmother, the Queen Mother's experiences during the war, connecting historical facts to personal family memories in a way that made history come alive for the children. Meanwhile, Catherine was reading The Very Hungry Caterpillar to her group, but she kept stopping to ask the children questions about the story and encourage them to predict what would happen next. Her approach turned a simple reading session into an interactive learning experience that had the children completely engaged and excited about books. Teacher Amanda Foster observed both interactions and was struck by how naturally educational leadership seemed to come to both of them. Prince William made those boys feel like serious historians, she later told colleagues. And Catherine turned story time into this amazing learning adventure. They both have this gift for making people feel capable and important. The visit took an unexpected turn when 10-year-old Lily Matthews approached Catherine during the reading session and quietly asked if she was going to be the queen someday. Catherine paused thoughtfully before answering. Someday in the future, yes. But right now I'm focused on being the best I can be today. Just like you are. Her response was overheard by several adults in the room, and the sincerity and wisdom of her words struck everyone present. She hadn't deflected the question or given a formal, rehearsed answer. Instead, she had acknowledged the future while emphasizing the importance of present responsibilities, a perspective that seemed to perfectly capture her approach to royal life. William, who had heard the exchange, smiled at his wife with obvious pride and affection. Later, when they were moving between rooms, he quietly told her, "That was perfect." In a moment of private communication that several observers noted demonstrated their strong partnership and mutual support. The afternoon continued, with visits to a small business incubator program where local entrepreneurs were developing everything from sustainable fashion lines to food delivery, services for elderly residents. William's questions revealed his deep understanding of business challenges and economic development, while Catherine focused on how these businesses could support families and strengthen community connections. One entrepreneur, David Kumar, who was developing an app to connect neighbors for mutual support, found himself in conversation with both William and Catherine about the social isolation issues facing modern communities. Their questions were thoughtful and revealed genuine understanding of complex social problems. They weren't just being polite, David later explained to his business partner. Prince William understood the technical challenges I was facing with user engagement, and Catherine immediately grasped how the app could support parents dealing with social isolation. They were both contributing real insights, not just nodding along politely. As the afternoon progressed, more and more observers began commenting on the same thing. This couple looked and acted like they were already fulfilling the roles of king and queen. Their natural authority, genuine care for people, and seamless partnership created an impression of leadership that felt both traditional and perfectly suited for modern challenges. The local MP, who had arrived to briefly meet the royal couple, found himself staying much longer than planned because he was fascinated by their approach to community engagement. "I've been in politics for 20 years, he confided to the community center director, "and I've rarely seen anyone connect with people the way these two do. They have this rare combination of dignity and accessibility that's exactly what public leadership should look like." As the afternoon sun began to cast longer shadows through the community center windows, William and Catherine moved on to what would become the most emotionally powerful part of their visit. The center's counseling and mental health support program had arranged for them to meet with several families who had benefited from the services, including some who had faced significant challenges over the past few years. The first family they met was the Johnsons. Maria, a single mother of 3, who had struggled with depression following her divorce, and her children aged 6, 9, and 12. Maria had been nervous about meeting royals, worried that she wouldn't know the proper protocol or say the right things. But when Catherine approached her with a warm smile and asked simply, "How are you doing today, Maria?" all her nervousness melted away. William knelt down to chat with Maria's youngest son, Tyler, who was wearing a small suit that was clearly his best outfit saved for special occasions. Instead of formal conversation, William started talking about Tyler's drawings displayed on the wall, asking about his favorite colors and whether he liked to draw animals. Tyler's initial shyness disappeared as William showed genuine interest in his artistic efforts, even suggesting that Tyler might enjoy visiting some of the art galleries in London. Meanwhile, Catherine was listening intently as Maria shared her story about finding support through the community center's programs. Catherine's responses showed deep understanding of the challenges facing single parents, and she asked thoughtful questions about what had helped Maria feel stronger and more confident. Her ability to make Maria feel heard and valued was evident to everyone watching. "She didn't make me feel like a charity case," Maria later told reporters. "She talked to me like one mother talking to another mother. And Prince William treated my children like they were important people, not just kids to pat on the head and move on from." The photographer captured a particularly poignant moment when Catherine was looking at Tyler's drawing of his family. The drawing showed 4 stick figures holding hands under a rainbow: Maria, Tyler, and his 2 siblings, plus a 4th figure that Tyler explained was the nice lady who helps Mummy feel better, referring to his counselor. Catherine's expression as she looked at the drawing reflected genuine emotion and understanding of what this family had been through. Their next conversation was with elderly couple Robert and Jean Patterson, both in their 70s, who had found community and purpose through the center's intergenerational programs. Robert had been struggling with loneliness after retiring from his job as a postal worker, while Jean was dealing with early-stage memory issues that made her feel isolated and frustrated. William's approach with Robert was particularly striking. Rather than speaking to him with the kind of careful, overly cheerful tone that many people use with elderly individuals, William engaged him as an equal, asking about his experiences as a postal worker and how the neighborhood had changed over the decades. Their conversation revealed William's genuine respect for Robert's knowledge and life experience. "He talked to me like my opinions mattered," Robert later told his son. "Asked me real questions about what I thought about local issues, what changes I'd seen that were good and what worried me. Made me feel like I had something valuable to contribute." Catherine's interaction with Jean was equally meaningful. When Jean became momentarily confused about where she was, Catherine gently helped orient her by commenting on the beautiful scarf Jean was wearing and asking where she had gotten it. This simple approach helped Jean feel calm and confident again, and soon she was telling Catherine about her late husband's military service and showing photos from her purse. The royal couple's handling of these sensitive interactions demonstrated emotional intelligence and genuine compassion that impressed all the professional staff members present. The center's director, Dr. Patricia Williams, who had been working in community mental health for over 20 years, observed their interactions with professional interest. What struck me was how naturally they adapted their communication style to each person's needs, Dr. Williams later explained to colleagues. With the anxious single mother, they were warm and reassuring. With the elderly gentleman, they were respectful and engaging. With the lady experiencing memory issues, they were patient and grounding. That kind of emotional flexibility usually takes years of training to develop. The visit continued with a stop at the center's job training program, where adults were learning new skills to re-enter the workforce or change careers. William spent time with Marcus Thompson, a former factory worker who was training to become an electrician after his manufacturing job had been eliminated by automation. Their conversation revealed William's understanding of economic transitions affecting working-class communities and his genuine concern for people navigating career changes. Catherine joined a group of women who were participating in a digital literacy program designed to help them support their children's education and manage family finances online. Her questions showed real understanding of the challenges facing parents trying to keep up with rapidly changing technology while managing busy family lives. One of the participants, Lisa Ahmed, was initially intimidated by meeting a princess But Catherine's interest in Lisa's experience as a part-time nursing student while raising two young children created an immediate connection. They discussed the challenges of balancing education, work, and parenting, and Catherine shared some of her own insights about managing demanding schedules while prioritizing family time. She understood exactly what I was talking about. Lisa later told her sister, "When I mentioned feeling guilty about studying when I could be spending time with my kids, she nodded like she'd felt the same thing." She didn't just listen politely, she really got it. The program coordinator noticed how William and Catherine naturally divided their attention based on their individual strengths and interests, but also how they frequently made connections between conversations. When William learned about employment challenges in one area, he would mention it to Catherine, who might then connect it to family support issues she was discussing with other participants. Their final stop in this section was the center's small childcare facility, where working parents could leave their children during job training sessions or counseling appointments. The facility served about 15 children on any given day, ranging from toddlers to school-age kids who came after classes ended. 3-year-old Amelia was initially scared when she saw all the adults with cameras, but Catherine immediately sat down on the small carpet where children were playing with blocks and began building alongside them. William joined a group of older children who were working on a puzzle, and soon both royals were completely absorbed in play activities. The childcare coordinator, Emma Rodriguez, watched in amazement as both William and Catherine seemed to forget about formal protocol and simply enjoyed interacting with the children. Catherine helped Amelia build a block tower, celebrating enthusiastically when it stayed standing. William worked patiently with 6-year-old Nathan, who had been struggling with the puzzle's more difficult sections. They weren't performing for the cameras, Emma later reflected. They were genuinely enjoying the children. Catherine was sitting on the floor in her beautiful dress, not worrying about getting it dirty. Prince William let Nathan climb on his back when they finished the puzzle. These were real moments of connection. The photographer captured several images that would later become favorites among social media users. Catherine laughing as toddlers tried to put toy crowns on her head. William being arrested by children playing police officers, both of them singing along to a children's song they clearly knew well from their own parenting experience. As they prepared to move to the final portion of their visit, staff members and participants gathered to watch them leave this section. The consensus was unanimous. This couple possessed a natural authority and warmth that made everyone feel valued and important. They had demonstrated leadership qualities that seemed to combine the best of traditional royal dignity with modern accessibility and genuine human connection. The final portion of the royal visit took place in the community center's main hall, where local leaders, volunteers, and community members had gathered for a presentation about the neighborhood's transformation over the past 5 years. The hall, which could accommodate about 100 people, was filled to capacity with residents eager to share their stories and hear from the royal couple. As William and Catherine entered the hall, the atmosphere immediately shifted. Their presence seemed to elevate the entire gathering, transforming what might have been a routine community meeting into something that felt historic and important. They took seats in the front row, but their positioning and body language made it clear they were there to listen and learn, not to be the center of attention. The presentation began with testimony from community members about challenges they had faced and progress they had achieved. Sarah Mitchell, a local mother of 4, spoke about starting a neighborhood watch program after a series of break-ins had left residents feeling unsafe. Her voice was initially shaky as she addressed the royal couple, but Catherine's encouraging nods and William's attentive posture helped her gain confidence. "Your Royal Highnesses," Sarah began, "2 years ago this neighborhood felt broken. People were scared, isolated, and many of us were thinking about moving away. But instead of giving up, we decided to come together." She went on to describe how the community had organized itself, how neighbors had started looking out for each other, and how crime rates had dropped significantly as a result of their collective efforts. William's response revealed his deep understanding of community development principles. He asked thoughtful questions about how they had overcome initial mistrust and encouraged participation from diverse community members. His questions weren't superficial or formulaic. They demonstrated genuine interest in replicating successful community organizing strategies in other areas. Catherine focused her questions on how the changes had affected families and children in the neighborhood. She asked about school attendance rates, whether children felt safer walking to school, and how parents' stress levels had changed as community safety improved. Her approach showed her understanding that community development wasn't just about crime statistics, but about creating environments where families could thrive. The next speaker was David Chen, a small business owner who had opened a cafe in a previously vacant storefront. He explained how the community center had helped him navigate licensing requirements, connect with local suppliers, and build relationships with neighboring businesses. His cafe had become an informal community gathering place, hosting everything from study groups for teenagers to informal job networking meetings for adults. Williams' conversation with David revealed his sophisticated understanding of economic development and small business challenges. They discussed everything from commercial rent costs to the importance of local supply chains in building sustainable communities. Williams' questions showed he understood how small businesses could anchor neighborhood revitalization efforts while providing essential services and employment opportunities. Catherine's interest focused on how the cafe had become a community gathering space. She asked David about the informal mentoring relationships that had developed between older and younger community members, and how local families used the space for celebrations and casual socializing. Her questions revealed her understanding that thriving communities needed informal gathering places where relationships could develop naturally. The presentation continued with Maria Santos, a teenager who had started an after-school tutoring program for younger children. Maria had initially been involved in activities that worried her parents and teachers, but the community center's youth programs had helped her channel her leadership abilities in positive directions. Now she was preparing to attend university on a scholarship while continuing to mentor younger students. William's conversation with Maria was particularly impressive to observers. He spoke to her as he would to any accomplished young leader, asking about her plans for university, her thoughts on educational policy, and her ideas for expanding youth mentoring programs. He didn't talk down to her or focus only on her past struggles. Instead, he engaged with her as a capable young woman with valuable insights and ambitious goals. Catherine asked Maria about the emotional aspects of mentoring younger children, especially those facing some of the same challenges Maria had navigated. Their conversation revealed Catherine's deep understanding of child development and trauma-informed approaches to youth programming. Maria later told friends that talking with Catherine felt like talking with a trusted older sister who truly understood teenage struggles. The presentations concluded with remarks from Dr. Patricia Williams, the community center director, who had been working in the neighborhood for 8 years and had witnessed its complete transformation. She spoke about the partnerships between local organizations, the importance of addressing both immediate needs and long-term community development goals, and the role of hope in motivating people to work for positive change. William and Catherine's response to Dr. Williams revealed the depth of their preparation for this visit and their genuine commitment to understanding effective community development strategies. William asked detailed questions about funding models, partnership structures, and policy barriers that prevented similar initiatives in other communities. His questions demonstrated policy-level thinking that impressed everyone present. Catherine's questions focused on the human elements of community transformation, how to maintain momentum when early enthusiasm fades, how to support community leaders who are volunteering significant time and energy, and how to ensure that vulnerable community members weren't left behind as neighborhoods improved. Her questions showed deep understanding of the psychological and social factors that determine whether community development efforts succeed or fail. When the formal presentations ended, William and Catherine were invited to respond with their own remarks. William stood first, and his natural authority was immediately apparent to everyone in the room. He spoke without notes, addressing specific points that community members had raised and connecting their local efforts to broader national challenges and opportunities. What we've heard today, William began, represents the very best of what communities can achieve when they come together around shared goals and mutual support. Sarah, your Neighborhood Watch program demonstrates how citizens can take responsibility for their own security while building relationships that strengthen the entire community. David, your cafe shows how small businesses can serve as community anchors that provide both economic opportunities and social gathering spaces. He continued by addressing Maria directly, praising her transformation from a troubled teenager to a community leader and role model. His words were specific and personal, showing he had truly listened to and understood each story he had heard. Then he connected their individual achievements to larger themes about civic engagement, economic development, and social cohesion. Catherine's remarks focused on families and children, but she also addressed the broader community themes that William had introduced. She spoke about the importance of creating environments where all community members felt valued and supported, regardless of their age, background, or circumstances. Her words revealed deep understanding of how community-level changes affected individual families and child development. When children see their parents engaged in making their neighborhood better, Catherine observed, they learn that they have the power to create positive change in their own lives and communities. When families feel connected to their neighbors, children develop the kind of social support networks that help them thrive academically, emotionally, and socially. The audience's reaction to both speeches was remarkable. Community members later described feeling inspired and valued, but also feeling like they had been in conversation with future national leaders who truly understood their challenges and appreciated their efforts. The royal couple's words felt genuine and substantive rather than polite and formal. As the formal program concluded, William and Catherine spent additional time in informal conversations with community members. These unscripted interactions revealed even more about their character and leadership potential. They moved through the room naturally, spending meaningful time with each person who wanted to speak with them, never appearing rushed or eager to leave. The informal reception that followed the formal presentations provided the most revealing glimpses into William and Catherine's natural leadership qualities and their relationship as partners. As community members mingled with light refreshments provided by local volunteers, the royal couple moved through the room with an ease and grace that made everyone feel comfortable and valued. Eleanor Thompson, a retired teacher who had lived in the neighborhood for 45 years, found herself in conversation with Catherine about the changes in local schools over the decades. Eleanor had taught 3 generations of families in the area and had worried that increasing poverty and social challenges would make quality education impossible. But recent improvements in community stability had led to better school attendance, improved test scores, and renewed hope among both teachers and parents. Catherine's questions revealed her deep understanding of educational challenges facing low-income communities. She asked about teacher retention, parent engagement, and the relationship between community stability and student achievement. But more than her knowledge, community members were struck by her genuine emotional investment in their children's success. She asked about specific programs, wanted to know what was working and what wasn't. Eleanor later told her daughter, "But you could see in her eyes that she really cared about these kids she'd never met." When I told her about students who had overcome difficult circumstances to graduate and go to college, she looked genuinely proud, like they were her own children. Meanwhile, William was engaged in an intense conversation with several local men about employment opportunities and economic development. The group included Marcus Johnson, who had recently completed electrician training, James Rodriguez, who ran a small construction company, and David Kumar, the entrepreneur developing the Neighborhood Connection app. Their conversation revealed William's sophisticated understanding of economic policy and workforce development. He asked detailed questions about apprenticeship programs, small business loan availability, and the kinds of infrastructure improvements that would attract larger employers to the area. But he also demonstrated deep understanding of the human costs of economic uncertainty and the importance of providing pathways to middle-class stability for working families. He knew what he was talking about. Marcus later told his wife, "Asked me about certification requirements, whether the training program prepared me for the actual work, what kinds of jobs were available locally." These weren't polite questions. He understood the issues and wanted real information he could use. James Rodriguez was particularly impressed by William's grasp of small business challenges. He asked about cash flow issues, seasonal work patterns, competition from larger companies. Then he asked what government policies would actually help small contractors like me. I felt like I was talking to someone who could actually influence those policies and was taking notes for future reference. The photographer and several community members with smartphones captured numerous images throughout the reception. But one photo in particular would become the most shared on social media platforms. It showed William and Catherine standing together near the community center's memorial wall, which honored local residents who had served in the military and neighborhood volunteers who had made significant contributions to community improvement. In the photograph, William was reading names on the memorial while Catherine stood beside him, her hand resting lightly on his arm. Their posture conveyed deep respect and solemnity, but also a natural partnership and mutual support. They looked, as dozens of social media users would comment, like leaders who understood the weight of service and the importance of honoring those who had made sacrifices for others. The moment that would generate the most emotional response from observers occurred when 8-year-old Lily Matthews, who had asked Catherine about becoming queen earlier in the day, approached the royal couple with a handmade card. Lily had spent the afternoon drawing a picture of William and Catherine wearing crowns. Surrounded by children and families from the community center, Catherine knelt down to Lily's level to accept the card, and William joined them, genuinely admiring Lily's artistic effort. But what struck observers was how naturally they included Lily in their conversation, asking her about her drawing choices and listening seriously to her explanations of why she had included specific details. "She drew us helping people," Catherine observed, pointing to figures in the drawing. "That's a beautiful way to think about what leaders should do." William added, "And look, she included everyone in the picture. Children, parents, grandparents, people of all ages working together." "That's exactly right, Lily. The best communities include everyone." Their interaction with Lily lasted several minutes, and during that time, other conversations in the room naturally paused as people watched the royal couple engage with the young girl. What they witnessed was leadership that was both dignified and accessible, formal enough to maintain appropriate respect but warm enough to make a child feel important and valued. Dr. Patricia Williams, who had been observing the entire visit from a professional perspective, found herself increasingly impressed by the psychological sophistication both William and Catherine demonstrated in their interactions. They seemed to instinctively understand how to make each person feel seen and heard, while also maintaining appropriate boundaries and dignity. "They have this remarkable ability to meet people exactly where they are," she later told colleagues. With anxious parents, they were calming and reassuring. With proud community leaders, they were respectful and interested. With children, they were playful but not patronizing. With elderly residents, they were patient and honoring. That kind of emotional intelligence is rare and cannot be taught. It's authentic leadership presence. As the reception continued, more patterns became apparent in how William and Catherine worked together as a team. They naturally divided their attention based on their individual strengths and interests, but they also frequently brought people together, introducing community members to each other. When they identified potential connections or shared interests, Catherine introduced two mothers who were both dealing with similar challenges in supporting children with learning differences. William connected Marcus Johnson with David Kumar, recognizing that Marcus's practical experience with local infrastructure issues could inform David's app development, while David's technology skills might help Marcus expand his electrical business. These connections revealed their understanding that effective leadership involved not just listening to individual concerns, but also identifying ways to strengthen the entire community by helping residents support each other. They weren't just visiting the community. They were actively working to enhance its internal networks and relationships. The afternoon was drawing to a close, but neither William nor Catherine seemed eager to rush their departures. They continued moving through the room, ensuring they had meaningful contact with every person who wanted to speak with them. Their energy remained high, their interest remained genuine, and their partnership remained seamlessly coordinated. Margaret Thompson, the grandmother who had first commented on their regal bearing when they arrived, watched them prepare to leave and turned to her daughter with tears in her eyes. "I've lived through 5 different monarchs," she said quietly. "I've never seen 2 people who looked more ready to serve this country with dignity and wisdom. They don't just look like a king and queen. They act like the kind of leaders we need." Her daughter nodded, taking one final photo of William and Catherine as they made their way toward the exit. In the image, they were walking side by side, William's hand protective on Catherine's back, both of them smiling and waving to community members who had gathered to see them off. They looked confident, gracious and completely comfortable in their roles as public servants and future monarchs. The consensus among everyone present was unanimous. This couple possessed all the qualities. The royal couple's departure from the community center marked the beginning of what would become a social media phenomenon that would continue for weeks. As their convoy pulled away from the East London neighborhood, community members were already sharing photos, videos, and personal accounts of their interactions with William and Catherine. But it was the collective impact of these individual stories that would create the overwhelming consensus about their readiness for future leadership roles. Within an hour of their departure, the first posts began appearing on various social media platforms. Margaret Thompson's daughter posted the photo she had taken of William and Catherine walking together, with the caption, "Witnessed something special today. These two don't just look like royals, they look like the king and queen we need." The post was shared hundreds of times within the first hour, with comments echoing the same sentiment. Sarah Mitchell, the mother who had spoken about the Neighborhood Watch program, posted a selfie she had taken with Catherine, along with a lengthy description of their conversation. "Princess Catherine listened to every word I said about our community safety efforts," she wrote. "She asked questions that showed she really understood what we've been through and what we've accomplished. When she talks to you, you feel like your voice matters. That's what leadership looks like." The photo that would ultimately become the most viral image of the day was the one James Rodriguez had captured of William and Catherine listening to the teenage presentation. In the image, both were leaning forward with expressions of genuine interest and engagement. William's protective hand on Catherine's back, both completely focused on the young people speaking to them. The image was first shared by Maria Santos, the teenager who had started the tutoring program, with the caption, "Prince William and Princess Catherine actually listened to us like our ideas mattered. They talked to me like I was already the leader I'm trying to become. This is what I want to see in our future king and queen. People who believe in young people and take us seriously." But it was when the image was picked up by larger social media accounts that the viral phenomenon truly began. Royal watchers, news organizations, and ordinary citizens all shared the photo with variations of the same message. This couple already embodied the dignity, compassion, and leadership qualities that people wanted in their future monarchs. The hashtag "Darn already look like king and queen" began trending within 6 hours of the visit's conclusion. The posts under this hashtag revealed the deep impression William and Catherine had made on everyone they encountered. Community members shared personal stories about their interactions, while royal watchers analyzed the couple's body language, communication style, and natural chemistry. Eleanor Thompson, the retired teacher, posted a thoughtful analysis that was shared thousands of times. "I've been teaching for 40 years and meeting public officials for almost as long. Today I met two people who possess that rare combination of natural authority and genuine humility. Prince William and Princess Catherine didn't just visit our community, they honored it. They made every person they met feel valued and important. That's not something you can train or fake. That's authentic leadership character." Dr. Patricia Williams, the community center director, was interviewed by several news outlets about the visit. Her professional perspective added credibility to the growing consensus about the royal couple's leadership qualities. "In my field, we study leadership development and community engagement," she explained to one reporter. "What I witnessed today was leadership presence that you rarely see in people of any age or experience level. They demonstrated emotional intelligence, policy understanding, and genuine care for people in ways that felt completely natural and authentic." The business owners who had met with William were particularly impressed by his economic understanding and policy awareness. David Kumar posted a detailed LinkedIn article about his conversation with the prince, describing William's sophisticated questions about technology entrepreneurship, community development, and economic policy. "This wasn't a ceremonial visit," Kumar wrote. "Prince William engaged with our local economic challenges like someone who understood the real issues and was thinking about real solutions. His questions revealed the kind of strategic thinking I hope to see from future national leadership." Meanwhile, the parents who had interacted with Catherine were sharing stories about her understanding of family life and child development. Lisa Ahmed, the nursing student, wrote a Facebook post that was shared widely. "Princess Catherine talked to me like one working mother talking to another. She understood the guilt, the exhaustion, the constant balancing act. But she also helped me see my strength and resilience. When she becomes queen, working families will have someone who truly gets what we're going through. The children who had met the royal couple were creating their own social media content with help from their parents. 8-year-old Lily Matthews appeared in a video her mother posted, holding her handmade card and explaining what she had drawn. "I drew Prince William and Princess Catherine helping people because that's what kings and queens should do," Lily explained to the camera. "They were really nice to me and they listened to all my ideas about helping people." The viral response wasn't limited to community members who had attended the event. Royal watchers and commentators began analyzing photos and videos from the visit, pointing out details that supported the growing consensus about William and Catherine's readiness for their future roles. Body language experts noted their natural coordination and mutual support. Communication specialists praised their ability to adapt their interaction style to different audiences while maintaining authentic connection. Royal historian Dr. Amanda Foster provided context that helped explain why this particular visit had generated such strong public response. "What we're seeing," she explained in a television interview, "is a couple who have grown into their roles gradually and naturally. They're not trying to be something they're not. They're demonstrating the leadership qualities they've developed through years of preparation and experience. The public is recognizing authenticity and competence, and responding with genuine enthusiasm." The evening news programs picked up the story, featuring interviews with community members and analysis of the social media response. The overwhelming message was consistent across all coverage. This royal couple had demonstrated the kind of leadership, presence, and character that made people feel confident about the future of the monarchy. International media also began covering the story, with royal correspondents from various countries noting the positive public response and analyzing what it revealed about William and Catherine's preparation for their future roles. The consensus among royal experts was that this visit had demonstrated a level of maturity and leadership presence that surpassed expectations. As the week progressed, the story continued to generate discussion and analysis. Opinion polls showed increased confidence in the future of the monarchy, with many respondents specifically citing William and Catherine's leadership qualities and genuine care for people. The phrase "they already look like king and queen" became shorthand for the public's growing confidence in their future monarchs. The community center received hundreds of messages from people across the country who had been inspired by the stories shared from the visit. Many included donations to support the center's programs, but even more valuable were the messages from other communities asking for advice about starting similar initiatives in their own neighborhoods. The royal couple's impact extended far beyond their few hours in East London. They had demonstrated that effective leadership involved not just ceremonial presence, but genuine engagement, authentic care for people, and the ability to inspire others to work toward common goals. Their natural partnership, individual strengths, and shared commitment to service had created a powerful impression of what modern monarchy could accomplish. In the weeks that followed, royal watchers continued to analyze the visit and its aftermath, but the conclusion remained consistent. William and Catherine had shown themselves to be ready for the responsibilities of kingship and queenship, possessing the character, competence, and genuine care for people that effective leadership required. They had proven that they already embodied the qualities their future subjects wanted and needed in their monarchs.